Now, let me tell you how I do financial planning now. I work with 25 clients. Now, I will do more than 25 tax returns during tax season because I like the whole experience. You know, there's some things you just can't beat out of me. But 25 clients I know really well. I know the names of their kids, if there's still grandparents around, the relatives. There's very little dark secrets I don't know about these folks. These top 25 clients represent $350,000 worth of revenue. Tax, consulting, and financial planning, and the bulk of it is financial planning. It's worth it to the young folks in my office to keep me around if I'm generating these kind of revenues, even if I'm on the beach for 4 months a year, okay? I'm paying my own way. They get that, okay? They're ticked about it because they haven't figured out how to do it yet, but they're getting along in that direction. Every year, I look for 3 new clients, say 3 to 5, and I try and move between $3 million and $5 million a year in money. Right now, I'm up, so far this year, I'm up to about $4.2 million. I may not quite make it to $5 million this year. And I'm hoping that the other financial planners in the office will move anywhere from 10 to 15 million, okay? Sometimes they fall short, but that's kind of our goal range. If I can add, you know, $5 million bucks a year, C shares, increase our revenue 50 grand a year, the margins on the financial planning, even with the high salaries we pay, are at least 60%, maybe a little higher. It's a great business, and I just have to keep hitting base hits. Now, when I pick up those, you know, 3 to 5 new clients, and I decide I've got to make a decision, am I going to keep them? And if I am, I'm going to get rid of 3 to 5 clients and pass them on. But I don't want any more than about 25. That's it. But I can still be a rainmaker. I can give the staff some of these clients, or I can give new clients to the staff. But I'm done trying to work 12-hour days, except for about 5 weeks during tax season when it's kind of fun for me. But the rest of the year should be mine. You know, I'm telling you, most of you already have too many clients. If you just focus on a handful, just a handful. If you picked up $5 million bucks a year for the next 5 years, you got $250,000 flowing into you on C shares. How could you go wrong with something like that? It takes very little time once you've got it set up. And if you can't handle 5 clients a year, something is really wrong. You're not focused enough on getting to the next stage of life. Okay, before we go down this path, I want to share with you an experience I recently had in Costa Rica. We live in a little beach town called Jaco, and Jaco at low tide has this amazingly flat sand beach. It's great to walk on. And so sometimes it's low tide at 6 in the morning, and sometimes it's low tide noon, and sometimes 3 o'clock. So I schedule my work hours, my calls with my clients, or any projects I'm doing based on the tides. It's kind of cool. So Tony and I are out there walking along the beach, holding hands. There's a nice cloud cover, but it's a beautiful sunny day. We're heading south, so to our left, we see about 14 red macaws flying overhead. They're just gorgeous. To the right, we see a whole flock of seagulls. And I am whining. I'm not little whining. I am big whining. I turn to Tony and say, you know, I have spent thousands of dollars trying to learn Spanish. I just can't do it. I'm too old. It doesn't work. I've got Rosetta Stone. I've got the Warren Hardy. I bought videos of Spanish Elmo. I've probably got 6 different dictionaries between Spanish and English. I've got all kinds of cheat sheets. Nothing is working. It's too hard. It's not going to happen. I'm just too old for this stuff. Now, I don't know if you know Tony, but she's pretty non-confrontational. She's like a lot of women. You know, they make these sneak attacks at you. You know, you never quite see them coming. So as we're walking along this beautiful beach on this gorgeous day, and I'm just full-blown whining, she looks at me with those great big eyes of hers and says, do you think it would help if you loaded that software on your computer and looked at it every once in a while and practiced a little Spanish? I was incensed. I said, you mean I not only have to pay all this money, but I have to work at it. I have to pay elbow grease to this thing. I said, that doesn't seem very fair to me. I just wanted to pay for it and get it done. Now, I tell you this story because for 10 years, Tony and I have been at Money Concepts, and we know that Money Concepts has laid at your feet every kind of tool you can imagine. Now, I understand sometimes they're a little hard to find. We've got manuals based on manuals. We have checklists. We have phone scripts. We have videos. I have done online case management with 5 or 6 CPAs that are recorded. We have done radio things that have been recorded. We have done PowerPoint presentations. Money Concepts has gone to the nth degree to provide you with the tools that won't just make you successful, but will make you wildly successful. Now, you don't have to do it. This is your gig. If you're comfortable where you're at, I respect that. But this is the only profession I know that can change not only your lives, but your kids' lives and your grandkids' lives. I mean, I live an amazing life. I don't want you to live my life. But when you have additional resources like we've had over the last 10 years, I mean, I bribe my kids now to come see me because they're too busy. So I will fly them and one of their friends down to see me at Christmas. If I wasn't doing financial planning, I couldn't afford that. So as comfortable as you think you are, I promise you it's far more comfortable on this side of the fence. And there is nothing special about me that you can't do. You already have all the assets you need. So with that, hasta luego. Adios. Bien dias. Thank you, guys. You're all been very good. If you have some questions, I'm happy to answer. Yes, I've acquired 26 CPA EA firms. We bought 2 in the last 18 months. One did about 500,000 worth of volume. One did about 600,000. The question is, do I keep the previous owner on? And the answer is maybe. I always offered to allow them to stay. Sometimes they can't because of health reasons. I have found that if an owner leaves quickly because of health reasons, we have a better transition. If an owner stays with us, the clients still don't feel they've been transitioned properly, especially the clients working with them. But let me give you a tip if you're acquiring a practice. The first practice I ever did, I did a phenomenal amount of due diligence. It was an enrolled agents practice, and we went through it in great detail, and when tax season came, we discovered that they were using a different tax code. People that were renting in an apartment were getting $20,000 mortgage interest, and I couldn't sign the returns, you know. So what we decided to do after that was we sit down with the tax professional and their spouse, and we have dinner. And if we like those people, their clients are going to be just like them. But if they're squirrely or cheaters or make me uncomfortable, their clients are going to be the same way. We attract like, right? So that's my big due diligence. And both of those practices that we acquired in the last 18 months, we did that with, and it's been magical. I like the idea of buying a practice. We've gone, this is going to sound like bragging, and I apologize, but in 2004, I left a much larger firm, and I had about $350,000 worth of accounting and tax work and virtually no financial planning because it stayed with the old firm, at least in the beginning. Next year, we'll do about $3.5 million, maybe a little less than $3.5 million. So that's what Dennis talks about when he talks about that 27 or 28% return. You grow by tenfold over 10 years. Now, it's not exact, okay? You get some years that are really good and others that aren't. But if all you're going to do is acquire firms, I think you're making a mistake. You've got to have a discipline internal that brings internal growth as well. You can't rely just on acquisitions. I think you lose a skill level if you do that. Question is, how do you hand over a tax client or a financial planning client to the next level down, especially if they don't quite shave yet? The administrative staff we have are really, really good. And what they say to them is something along the lines of, Nick is getting some help this year. He just can't do everything. And so-and-so is going to do the interview process. Nick will be reviewing it later tonight. If there's any issues, he'll give you a call. Now, just to show you how well that works, because our egos think, my God, they're going to miss us, right? I mean, I walked into a meeting that one of the younger CPAs was doing. It was the first time he'd met with that client. They were about 45 minutes into an hour meeting, and I popped in, and the clients looked at me and said, well, what are you doing here? I just came to see if everything was okay. Yeah, everything's fine. They were so engaged with the other CPA, they could care less. I mean, I could have fallen dead on the freeway. They wouldn't have cared. Okay? So, you know, you are going to have a few, especially some of the older clients, that just have to have you. And then you make a decision. You know, I've got one woman that drives from Vegas to see me, and it's a very small return. It may be $100, but okay. She was one of the folks that got me started. I will meet with her. You know, I love her, and she's a nice person, and I manage about $600,000 of her money, so I'm still willing to meet with her. But for the most part, the clients transfer pretty well. When you're a planner and you're dating a CPA, it could take 3 to 4 years. It could take 5 years. But once we've determined that you're the person we want to put trust in, we'll stay with you up until the time you screw us. I mean, we're yours at that point. We don't want to go through that process again. We just got to make sure you're not going to screw our clients. So for the planners in the room, this is huge, but you can't look at it like getting one client. You've got to look at it like getting 300 clients. You just got to get past the gatekeeper, and that's going to take a little time and a little effort.
So all the CPAs that are in your firm also are security licensed?
Yes, Series 7.
So that's the dynamic that you're using. You combine everything together.
Yeah, I could not figure out how to recruit outside reps. You know, this put on a seminar or send out these flyers or make these telephone calls. I never could figure that out, okay? Now, if I was smart, I would have done it what I did in the end. So because I couldn't do the outside recruiting, I just hired people. Now, since
it's easier to find the solid CPAs and then transition them also into following your model.
Oh, if they're under 35, they're chomping at the bit to do this. I mean, I've done a couple of society seminars. The younger CPAs are chomping at the bit. Now, having said all that, I've had an opportunity to sit down with Jim Moss, and we've actually got recordings of Jim Moss, 3 different recordings interviewing him about recruiting outside reps. Jim won't tell you this, but I will. Jim's brilliant. I mean, if I'd have sat with Jim 5 years ago, I'd have a huge region by now. All that crap you hear from other people trying to sell you stuff, Jim just cuts through all that and tells you where it really works and where it doesn't work. So, you know, if Dennis is willing, we'll make those available. But, you know, guys like this are all over money concepts. You got to be picking their brain.